Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this webinar on access to high-resolution satellite data to tackle tropical deforestation. This session is being recorded, and this webinar, and indeed the NICFI data programme, was made possible by Norway's International Climate and Forest Initiative, NICFI, satellite data procurement of $45 million. Thousands of people have already attended webinars by the GEO flagship, the Global Forest Observations Initiative, GFOI, and this webinar is intended for those who missed those webinars and for the broader GEO community. My name is Stephen Ramage and I work at the GEO Secretariat. I'm moderating this session today, and I'd like to hand over to my boss, Gilberto Camara, the Director of the GEO Secretariat. And I hope he doesn't mind me saying it's also a big birthday for Gilberto today. So happy birthday, Gilberto, and thank you for taking the time out to present to us all.
Thank you very much. Thanks all, and good day for everyone. On behalf of the GEO Secretariat, we are delighted to be here today because this marks an important moment in the GEO drive to make data available to the world. We have to recognize the support that Norway has been continuously doing for all countries that are involved in preserving the forest, important initiatives in the Amazon Fund in Brazil, important initiatives in Indonesia, important initiatives in the FAO, and now this new initiative of making high-resolution data globally available in the tropics. This is just fantastic because it will allow a level of quality assessment of what we do in terms of forest monitoring, which is unprecedented. So the level of detail of the data allows a significant increase in the accuracy of the estimates that are actually going on in all areas, including the reporting of emissions to our NICFI, the control of deforestation, the real-time alerts, the issues of mitigations and REDD+. This is, GEO is extremely pleased and welcomes the Norwegian government for taking such a strong stance in defense of the global tropical belt. So thanks Norway, and congratulations to those involved, those producing the data, those making the data available. And this is a fantastic initiative. Thank you so much, and on behalf of the whole GEO community.
Thank you, Gilberto. Now I'd like to hand over to Mehdi Kakbur, the GEO Principal of Norway. Mehdi is Chief Engineer at the Norwegian Environment Agency, and he also represents Norway in the European Commission's high-level working group on GEO. Mehdi, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all are feeling well and have found ways to cope with our new challenges in these pandemic times. I'm pleased to welcome you to this webinar arranged by GEO, KSAT, and Norway's International Climate and Forest Initiative. My name is Mehdi Kakbur, and I am Norway's principal on GEO, Group for Earth Observation. GEO is a unique global network connecting government, academic, and research institutions, data providers, businesses, engineers, scientists, and experts to create innovative solutions to global challenges. The unprecedented global collaboration of experts helps identify gaps and reduce duplication in the areas of sustainable development and sound environmental management, which is GEO's main mission. This webinar is also an attempt to bring this newly available data to the attention of the GEO community, as well as other interest organizations around the world. I work as Norway's representative in GEO on behalf of the Norwegian Environment Agency, where we are also very excited about the topic of today's webinar. We believe the newly available data offers great opportunities to the governments and communities around the world in terms of boosting knowledge-based decision-making for local governments, as well as opening numerous possibilities for more relevant and data-driven research. We all know that destruction of the world's tropical rainforests is one of the most pressing environmental disasters of our time. The science is clear: the world cannot reach the Sustainable Development Goals nor the Paris Agreement without halting deforestation and increasing forest restoration. Norway has since 2008 supported efforts to reduce tropical deforestation with $300 million per year. A significant amount of this has gone to supporting tropical forest countries in improving their forest monitoring systems. To combat deforestation, tropical forest countries need information. They need to know when, where, and why deforestation occurs. High-resolution satellite imagery can be used to strengthen law enforcement, to hold companies accountable, and to discover illegal activities. They can improve estimates of deforestation. They can help measure reforestation and monitor the restoration process. But access to such data has been limited. These images have been too expensive to allow widespread use. They have been hampered by restrictive licenses. They have been complicated to use. Norway is attempting to remove this bottleneck by making these data available to all for free. Every month, a brand new overview of all tropical land masses will be made available. We are centralizing the cost and providing a public resource for the world. Norway intends this to be a resource for forest country governments and everyone else interested in contributing to halting tropical deforestation. We will continue to work with our partner countries and civil society to turn the data into useful information and to make that information easily accessible to those that need it, those who can manage forests more effectively with it, and those with the power to address drivers of deforestation. I hope you really enjoyed the webinar today and find it useful as well as a little bit amusing enough to distract yourself for an hour from all the new discomforts and tragedies we face in these new times. Thank you and have a nice webinar.
Tusen takk, Mary. Now we are going to go to Charlotte Bishop, who's also based in Norway. And Charlotte's bringing most of this together as the project manager at Kongsberg Satellite Services, which is known as KSAT. Charlotte is going to introduce the NICFI program. Charlotte.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Let me just share my screen. Can you just let me know you can see that, Stephen?
Perfect.
Great. So hello, everyone. It is great to be here and to give an introduction to the NICFI data program. And you've already heard a little bit about it and the premise behind it, what inspired the program. So I just want to spend the next 10 minutes or so telling you about what the program actually provides. And also a little bit about how you can access that data, which will be a lovely lead in to the use case examples we have coming up after my presentation, where you can see some of how the users that are already using the data are using it and the benefit they're already seeing from the data. So to build on from what Mayday has just introduced on the program, and just to reiterate, so this is a Norwegian Ministry of Climate and Environment funded initiative through NICFI, and that work has been contracted to KSAT as the project prime and service manager for the NICFI data program. And we're delighted to be working with our partners, Planet and Airbus, to provide the data that we will present to you today. So KSAT, as I say, is a service manager, so overall responsible for how the program is going, and we work very closely in partnership with NICFI to ensure that we're building a solution together that is in the benefit of everyone, and everyone has the access to the data that they need. And Planet is providing their wealth of data by virtue of their PlanetScope daily imaging that is provided as mosaics. And we also partner with Airbus, who are providing their historical data to strategic partners. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the data and some examples of this as we go through. So we have built the program around the project purpose and maybe introduced this. The program is really focused on reducing and reversing the loss of tropical forests. But the premise behind it really is to ensure that we have as broad access as possible to as many users as possible. As Mehdi mentioned, there have traditionally been some barriers to access that have included challenging licensing and challenging costs. And so this program has been devised with the attempt to try and remove and reduce the impact of those and ensure that this data can be available whether you are a media user, a public user, NGO, or even a commercial user who can use this data as long as it is not in the pursuit of profit. So we'll look at some examples as to the wealth of data that's available and of course then how you can access that. So if we focus now on the data products and what's actually available. So this program is providing 5 meter or better than 5 meter spatial resolution data across the global tropical regions. And you'll see the map on the screen there shows the area that is covered. It is approximately 45 million square kilometers. And it doesn't include every country within the 30 degrees north and south, but it includes most of those. Countries that might be excluded are because they are developed countries or because they are desert areas, or they are territories perhaps of developing countries. If you're unsure if your country is covered, then and it's not obvious from the map, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us or ask in the chat and we can confirm that for you. This really is a very new and exciting way to serve data and provide it. It is something that is unparalleled in our industry until this point. So it's really something new and exciting that that we as KSAT and with our partners Planet and Airbus are really delighted to be able to bring to the market and help the users see benefit and value from the data. And we have 2 primary products for use. And the reason for this is we want to make sure the data is accessible whether you are completely new to satellite imagery or whether you have experience and you would like to use this in the models and algorithms that you already use. So we have visual mosaics, which is our most basic or standard product. It is the product that sits in the background of the search tool, which I will show you just shortly. And it's also the same data that you might see in tools such as Global Forest Watch, where this data is also provided. And the data is normally visualized in natural color, so how you would typically see the world. But there are often options to change this and modify that color by the benefit of the spectral capacity of the planet bands. But again, this is just visual. This is not downloadable. It is designed to be an easy, accessible product. And our second product, and certainly our most popular with the scientific users, or those more familiar with data, is the analysis-ready data. So this is in fact the same data as the visual product, but it's provided as a fully radiometric available and corrected data set. It is terrain corrected, it's atmospherically corrected, and it's ready to use in 4 spectral bands. And that data can be downloaded, and you can use your own analysis on that. You can stream that into the tools that you're using. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how you can do that as we move through. And we provide this data at 2 different cadence levels. As we heard earlier, across this whole area, each time these mosaics are released, they're covering this entire region. So that's 45 million square kilometers at the 2 different intervals of cadence that we're providing the data. So we have an archive level, which runs from December 2015 to August 2020. So that means we have 10 archive biannual mosaics all ready to use. And we also have monthly monitoring from September 2020, which is when the program started. And that will continue to run until September 2022, with the possibility for the project to be extended for up to another 2 years. So we have a vast amount of data already available in the program. It's approximately 16 mosaics already available, providing a mix of both monthly as well as temporal archival coverage back to 2015, all derived at this time from the PlanetScope data. And I'll touch on why the Airbus data is slightly different as we go through. So we've heard a little bit about the data, but I think it's probably important to understand how we can use the data and what restrictions there might be. We've tried to make this absolutely as simple as possible to ensure it's as easy to use as possible, and that we do reduce those barriers to access that we know have been a problem in the past. So our level 0 is really our open and public good. It is where you will find our visual mosaics. So for someone looking in Global Forest Watch or on the UN CPAL platform or Map Biomass or other places where this data is already being streamed, you wouldn't necessarily know that you are a level 0 user of the data, but you are by virtue of the fact you are viewing that data in those platforms. That level is designed to be non-downloadable. It's just for visual analysis. And so tools like Global Forest Watch are very good for that because they have other layers and other information that you can load in, and no registration is required to access those tools. And level 0 is as open as possible. So this is where you can actually download the data. This is really our core level of access. We have just today, I learned that we have tipped over 5,000 users. So since the program started in September, we have now just gone over 5,000 users already accessing the level 1 data products. And this gives you both the visual mosaic, so the ones we've just been talking about, as well as the analysis ready mosaics, where you can download and stream and do all those analyses in your own tools as well. This is a non-commercial use license, but that really doesn't restrict. We don't want it to restrict commercial organizations from having access to the data. And you can stream that data and use that and build products, do R&D. And if you have specific questions on commercial requirements, we'd be pleased to answer some more questions. So as long as your application is in the pursuit of the purpose and not in the pursuit of profit, this data can be used for that. We also have a third level. I've graded out. It's probably reasonably hard to read. I do apologize for that. I didn't realize it was so light. But we have level 2 for select partners. And the reason this is grayed out is because we're not going to focus on that during this webinar. This data set is at level 2 is not going to be available to everyone in the same way that the level 1 and level 0 is. So level 2 will be available to selected partners, which the Norwegian Ministry will help to identify, and that process is still ongoing. But it is at that level that there will be access to Planet's daily scenes, so not just the monthly mosaics we've been discussing, but also the selected Airbus archive scenes as well, all the way back to 2002. So there'll be some more communication on this and some of that at a later date in another webinar. So where do we start? So we have a project landing page for the NICFI data program, which you can find at planet.com/NICFI. And I've added that onto the slide in front of you, and you will see the screen. It will look very similar to this when you type in that web address, and it gives you a bit of background to the program and tells you how to get started. And I'll step you through that process in just a moment. But also at the bottom of this page, we have a wealth of resources. So for example, we have user guides and frequently asked questions, which provide detail on not only the specifications of the program, but also different routes and links to more information on how to download or stream those data through various different routes. And those are available in 5 different languages currently, which include English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Bahasa Indonesian. And we also have a 24/7 help desk, which I've included at the top here. So NICFI-service desk at KSAT.no. So one of our roles at KSAT is to work with the users and understand any challenges you're having with access or any questions you have, and help to resolve those as quickly as possible, ensure you're getting the access that you need to the data. So if we were to go back to sign up, how do we do that? Very simply, we go back to the planet.com/NICFI. On the right-hand side of your screen, you will see it says ready to get started. You can enter your email address there. It should be an email address not already associated with a Planet account that you have. And the reason for that is that the NICFI data program is quite different to other Planet products. But if you have any particular questions or concerns, please get in touch with the help desk and we can work with you to find a resolution. You complete that and hit get access, and you will receive a confirmation email like the one on the left-hand side of the screen, which will take you to a link to fill in some more details and activate your account. And then on the right, you will see that you get a confirmation afterwards to say that your account is activated. I just wanted to spend a couple of slides before we move into the use case examples explaining how you can explore the data online in Planet's tools. So this is what you will see once you log in with your newly created NICFI user account. You will see a view that looks very similar to this. This shows you the coverage of the NICFI data, as we've seen on previous slides. You will see at the bottom of the screen there is a timeline, so you can just use this within the browser to browse, zoom in. There are various different tools here to explore the data. And then on the top left, you will find a magnifying glass where you can click on that and search for the other data, search specifically for a base map that you're interested in. And that could be either biannual, which is our archive products, or it could be the monthly mosaics. And you can see the areas highlighted on the screen, show you where you can find those and where you can change that information. And then just popping up on the right there, I'll just flick back. It's just on the right, on the top of the tools. That's where you can add your own area of interest. You can also type in a place name, and various different forms that you can do that. And you can draw, of course, your own area as well. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because I know Matt will be talking about this area in his use case, but I thought it was a nice example just to start to show you some of the things you can do in Planet Explorer itself. So this is an area in Colombia that I've zoomed to. This is the NICFI data mosaics from October 2020. And then this is the exact same area in February 2021. So we're already seeing quite a lot of change. And in Planet Explorer tool, we can click on this icon on the top right of your screen, which is the compare tool, and we can look at two different dates and use the image slider to drag across the screen and see those changes in real time. And then on the right, you'll see a measurement tool has been highlighted, and we can also draw and measure the area, for example, that has been changed. So all of this we can do within the browser without needing to download the data. So for users who are less familiar, this can be quite a nice and easy way to interact with the data. And there is additional in-browser analysis where you can enhance the product. You can do various other vegetation indices, water indices, again, all within the Planet Explorer browser, and all quite accessible from the initial view that you get to. So finally, I just one slide on downloading and streaming. We can touch on this, of course, if people have specific questions in the Q&A. But there are very many different ways to do this. I'm only showing two in this example, but on the left of your screen, you will see the Planet Base Maps Explorer, which is where you can download the product, very similar to the view we were just looking at. You can zoom in and search for the area you want, search for the mosaic you want, and then download the associated tile quads, which is how this data is provided, downloaded, and download them as a GeoTIFF, and then use them in your own tools. And on the right, you will see this is a QGIS screen, but it could also be an ArcGIS screen. Planet has its own plugin for these tools where you can also search for the NICFI data, download and stream that data straight into QGIS or ArcGIS. There are very many other ways to download and access the data through Python and other batch download capabilities, and so I include the links at the bottom of the screen here to find out more information. And of course you can ask any questions either in this session or once you've explored through our help desk as well. So just in summary, we've covered quite a few things reasonably rapidly, but hopefully it's given you a bit of a flavour to the programme and what you can expect from it. And of course, if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact our help desk, and we'll be available at the end of this session for the Q&A as well. So thank you very much for your time, and back to you, Stephen.
Great, thank you very much, Charlotte. Comprehensive as usual. So I just want to reiterate and repeat what I said at the beginning. We are recording the session, and the session will be available on the GEO website, and it'll also be available through the NICFI program. So we'll share, we can send around the details of that, but we will post it on the GEO website for sure, and we'll share it across our social media channels as well. So, and at the same time, a number of you are now using the Q&A function, which is fantastic. The chat should now be enabled for those who just want to make an intervention but don't have a question. So if you want to try the chat, hopefully that's now working, and then Q&A for the questions, as mentioned. So now we have Matt Feiner, Senior Research Specialist and Director of MAP, which is monitoring of the Andean Amazon project, Amazon conservation. And Matt's going to discuss monthly base maps for cutting edge deforestation monitoring. Matt, can I hand over to you now?
Yep.
Great.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My screen's up. So I'm really going to build off what Charlotte was explaining, even going into that same Colombia example. And I'm really going to emphasize the power of even just the visual mosaics on their own before we even get into downloading the data. So first of all, I'll go back. My name is Matt Feiner. I'm the Senior Research Specialist at the organization Amazon Conservation, and I manage our MOP program, the monitoring, our monitoring of the Amazon project, dedicated to real-time, satellite-based real-time monitoring of the Amazon. And so here you can see this is a report. We publish these periodic reports based on our real-time monitoring. This is from January, and so we were actually so excited about this imagery and the power of just the visual mosaics alone that we published this report in January. And I'm just going to give some of the highlights of this report. So first of all, so we emphasize, again, building off what Charlotte was saying, we emphasize two major sources of the base maps, one on Global Forest Watch and also on Planet Explore. And I'm going to emphasize both because each has some unique features that really bring a lot of added value to, again, just the visual mosaics. I'm just focused on the visual mosaics and their power. So here's Global Forest Watch. There in the corner, you can see this is and so similar, this is the tropical coverage that Charlotte was mentioning. And this is the mosaic for February. So again, just really remarkable that we have this tropical coverage for February. And we've had this since early February. So in a couple of days, we're actually going to have this for March. So it's really remarkable how quickly these mosaics are posted, and just an incredible resource to have. Like I said, in a couple of days, we're going to have this same thing for March. It's really unbelievable. So first, I'm going to focus in on Colombia, actually the area that Charlotte was referring to. So here we are zoomed in on that February base map in the Colombian Amazon. So what makes Global Forest Watch a really powerful tool in regards to these visual mosaics are the additional layers that are freely available on Global Forest Watch. For example, and I think most importantly, are these forest loss alerts known as GLAD alerts that you can see in the upper left-hand corner. And you can customize the date range of the alert. So for example, The pink pixels on that February mosaic are just the forest loss alerts from September 20th to mid-March 2021. So recent stuff, again, getting into the real-time monitoring potential of this. So you can see the pink pixels of the forest loss alerts on that February mosaic. And then you can also add an additional layer. So for example, this is protected areas. So now we have protected areas and the forest loss alerts on top of that February mosaic. And so for example, you can see these forest loss alerts overlapping a protected area. In this case, it's Chiribiquete National Park in Colombia. Now, stepping back, then what you can do is you can then unclick those additional layers and get back to just the mosaic itself. So we had this, we identified forest loss in a national park. Now we're going to get rid of those additional layers. And now we're just looking at what those pixels were indicating in the month of February. And these are these deforestation areas. So again, using those forest loss alerts to really tip us off to recent deforestation and also adding value that it's in a protected area. Now switching over to Planet, we have some additional capabilities. So here's a zoom in of that same area in Colombia. And I'm also going to focus in on that, that powerful menu bar on the right, but I'm going to go down to this, this icon here. Charlotte was mentioning the slider function, which is you can just pick any two images into a slider. But I love this feature right here, where you're able to string multiple images together and actually produce basically a satellite video, which I think is a very powerful way to visualize the information. So for example, this is what I'm about to show is a short satellite image video stringing together 3 of the base maps, one from September 2020, which is the one we're seeing here, which is basically the pre-deforestation. And then we'll see one in November where you can see the start of deforestation, and then the February base map where you can see the deforestation. So I'll just hit the play. So you can see September, November starting, and then the deforestation. So I'll play that through again. Play that through one more time. So again, so September, November, February. And you can string multiple images together and really produce a very powerful video and that I think is great for social media in terms of sharing more of a video presentation of the unfolding deforestation. All right, so to bring things all together, I'm just going to show one more example. This time going down to the Peruvian Amazon. Again, we started with Global Forest Watch, where the forest loss alerts indicated recent forest loss since just September in this area here. We were able to use that February base map to determine that the footprint was, in this case, gold mining. The Colombian is more of an agriculture, cattle ranching pattern, where this is more of the gold mining footprint that we can identify in the base map. And then switching over to Planet, we produced one of those time series videos I was mentioning. And this one's a little bit longer. We're going to go from August to 2020 to February 2021, and with one image per month. And you just see the expanding gold mining deforestation. So again, just a very powerful tool to visualize. I'll show it one more time. Just a very powerful tool just to show how that gold mining deforestation is unfolding from September to February. And that is it for me. So thank you, everyone. Welcome the opportunity to discuss this. Here's just some of my information if anyone wants to get in touch. And thank you, everybody, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Matt. That was perfect timing.
Great.
And very informative too. So next is Eric Lindquist, a forestry officer with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Eric is based in Quito, Ecuador, and he has what I'd describe as quite considerable experience in remote sensing and GIS. And Eric is going to talk about access and use in open forests. So over to you. Well, over to playing this.
Hi, everybody. My name is Eric Lindquist. I'm a forestry officer with the Food and Agriculture Organization, and today I'm going to present briefly on the access and use of the NICFI Planet base maps in open forest tools and platforms. I'll talk briefly about how we use the data for visualization and can also download the data for further processing. Talk about how we employ the imagery in sample-based assessments and wall-to-wall classifications, how the data are integrated into the FAO Hand-in-Hand Initiative website, and some country-specific applications, which Hercila will go more into detail on later. I believe this has already been covered, but just to show that the area covered by the Planet data span roughly the zone from 30 degrees north to 30 degrees south, and cover the entire Pantropics. This is an example of how we integrate the Planet data into the SEPL platform. We can use the data as a backdrop, as a map backdrop for inspecting the creation of mosaics and composites using Landsat and Sentinel-2 as Sentinel-1 data as well. We can also use the data for inspecting classifications and change detections that might be undertaken using the tools within the SEPL platform. Something soon to arrive in the SEPL production platform will be this tool, which allows a user to select an area of interest and then download the associated NICFI Planet base map quads for any time period over that area of interest. This will allow the data to be downloaded to your SEPL workspace, and additional processing then can be performed on those imagery. This is an example of how that works. Once the quads are downloaded, they can be integrated into Google Earth Engine or into SEPL for further classification. This is an example, a rough example over a portion of the Democratic Republic of Congo where we have classified forest, non-forest, and you can see a very high level of detail as possible using the Planet mosaics. So it's very exciting to see where this will lead to and what new insights this will bring. We also have the ability to integrate the data directly into the Collect Earth and Collect Earth Online tools within the open forest ecosystem of tools. This is an example from Collect Earth Online where we're using the Planet NICFI base maps to help interpret sample sites. So we can switch between the base maps, we can switch between natural color and color infrared, and this of course should help interpreters arrive at a correct conclusion about the land cover, land use at any particular point, as well as maintain consistency between interpreters, which will improve overall estimates. This is an example of how the Planet data are integrated into the hand-in-hand web platform of the Food and Agriculture Organization. In this example, we can load one time period into the left pane, another time period into the right pane, and slide between the two, thereby providing the ability to do on-the-fly assessments of change or whatever it is you would like to assess in this manner, I guess. So very useful application in the hand-in-hand. Some country-specific applications for which we are using these data, which I think are interesting. And these are the countries that are using the data for these applications. Of course, the main reason why we want to use high-resolution data and high temporal frequency data is for improving area estimation and uncertainty analysis. These data will be employed across the tropics to improve the precision of estimates that will then be reported to the UNFCCC for results-based payments for RED+. Specifically, there are some land use changes which we can easily identify, or more easily identify in the Planet data than we could before in the coarser resolution data. This is, of course, an application for tracking illegal avocado harvesting or illegal avocado plantation creation within Mexico. You can see the area growing there. This is also a way we can track agricultural expansion. This is an example from pineapple expansion within Costa Rica, where we see new pineapple plantations being started. We can also track fire progression and severity. This is an example from Chile, where we can track basically if we get lucky, we can track more or less the start of the fire through the progression of the fire, and then analyze assets at risk while the fire is burning, but also then fire severity when the fire has stopped burning. This is an example of how we use the data in Indonesia for infrastructure assessment. So we can compare a database of peatland, canal, in this case, dam construction to stop the draining of the peatlands. We can compare, as I said, we can compare the database of infrastructure with actual on-the-ground locations to see if, in fact, the dam is there. Is it working? Is it as anticipated in the database? Is it doing what it's supposed to do? So overall, we hope to use we are using already the Planet and NICFI base maps to increase the accuracy and precision of area estimates for reporting on forest area change over time. We will use the Planet and NICFI data for improving land monitoring for things such as fire, for infrastructure, and for real-time events. And of course, our real hope, or an additional hope, is that we will be able to use the higher resolution, higher temporal frequency data to advance the characterization of very fine spatial and short duration events that we had problems such as forest degradation and regeneration, which we had some challenges with the previous data sets. Of course, thanks to all of our partners for all of the help and assistance building the platforms, maintaining the algorithms, contributing the algorithms, and of course, making all of this possible. So with that, thank you very much.
Fantastic. So thank you for that. We are now moving on to our final speaker, and it's my good friend Africa Flores from SERVIR, Amazonia. Africa is a land cover, land use change thematic lead and a regional science coordination lead. She was recently bestowed the title of Geospatial Women Champion of the Year, and I believe she's a National Geographic Explorer. She's going to talk about the high resolution satellite data integration in SERVIR hub services. So if we can go with that, and then we'll move to Q&A. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Africa Flores from NASA SERVIR Science Coordination Office. And today I'm going to present about the use of high-resolution data by the SERVIR Global Network. SERVIR is a partnership between NASA and USAID, which main objective is to enhance the capacity of countries to use air observation data and geospatial technologies to address critical needs on land cover land use change, food security, weather and climate, and water-related disasters. To do this, we partner with centers of excellence in each of the regions where we work. We are currently active in Amazonia, West Africa, Eastern and Southern Africa, the Hindu Kush Himalaya region, and Lower Mekong. Everything that SERVIR does is demand-driven. We co-develop solutions together with stakeholders in each of the regions where we work. And these centers of excellence and also consortiums are the face of SERVIR in the regions where we work. I'm going to provide a summary of some of the services that we have in these regions that are already making use of high-resolution data and that are going to benefit from the Planet data that is provided by NICFI. One of the activities that we have in Amazonia and also in West Africa is the monitoring of deforestation due to illegal gold mining. You may have seen this image, which was captured by an astronaut on the International Space Station. And even though this image is very recent and shows the deforestation that is happening in the Madre de Dios area in Peru, this activity has been going on for many years and has been very well documented by other colleagues and projects. And we just heard about MapFinder and the different activities that they have in the Amazonia to monitor deforestation using high-resolution data. Through SERVIR Amazonia and the consortium partner Conservación Amazónica, we are developing a service that is monitoring illegal gold mining using synthetic aperture radar data. And then, using a change detection algorithm, disturbances are mapped on the ground. The calibration and validation of these results has been done using high-resolution data. These alerts are further validated by connecting the result of the alerts to the NICFI mosaics. And all of this information is provided to end users through an application called RAMI, that stands for Radar Mining Monitoring. All of this is publicly available, and right now the team that is leading this effort, the consortium partner ACA, is disseminating the results with stakeholders and government agencies. In addition to the gold mining activity in Amazonia, there are additional services that are benefiting from the access to high-resolution data. I'm just going to briefly mention other two services. These are being done in collaboration with our applied sciences team, specifically Stephanie Esfera and Nayara Pinto. Both of these services are taking place in the Ucayali region, which has a vast extent of forest that is heavily threatened. The first one is evaluating the impact of deforestation and forest degradation on ecosystem services. And here, Stephanie Esfera from Richmond University and her team are evaluating multiple change detection algorithms to map deforestation and forest degradation. And the use of the high-resolution data is for the training of these algorithms and the validation of the results. Along the same lines, Nayara Pinto from JPL is mapping oil palm and cacao crops and training the algorithm that is going to map those crops with high-resolution data, and also using the high-resolution data for the validation of the final maps. Nayara is doing this mapping to support zero deforestation initiatives. Both of these projects are focusing right now in Ucayali, but have plans to scale up to a larger region in the Amazonia. Then we have in Eastern and Southern Africa the land cover mapping system that is providing annual land cover maps for multiple countries in the region. And RCMRD has been providing this service for many years now, and countries are using the results from this system in the greenhouse emissions inventory. RCMRD is also accessing high-resolution data for the calibration and validation of crop maps. In West Africa, there are multiple services that are benefiting from the access to high-resolution data. I already mentioned the gold mining issue that also affects West Africa, specifically in Ghana. But we also have additional services such as the charcoal production that is making use of high-resolution data. One thing that many of these services have in common is that the high-resolution data is being used for calibration of algorithms and validation of final results. But we also are evaluating the use of high-resolution data for mapping itself. And this is being explored in almost all the SERVIR regions, particularly to map specific crops. In the Hindu Kush Himalaya and Lower Mekong, we have the regional land cover monitoring system, which, very similar to RCMRD in Eastern and Southern Africa, is providing annual land cover maps at the regional and national scale. Countries are using these maps for the reporting commitments that they have with the international community. The use of the high-resolution data is for the calibration of algorithm and validation of final results. I would also like to mention that the NICFI data is embedded into Collector Online, which is a tool developed by SERVIR, SIG, FAO, and others that is heavily used by the SERVIR Global Network and allows to collect reference observations for calibration and validation. I would also like to mention that the application of these freely available datasets that are provided by NICFI are going to be extremely useful for other services that SERVIR have in each of the regions where we work, including services that we have for food security, weather and climate, water and water-related disasters. So the benefit goes beyond what we can do for monitoring and protecting the forests worldwide. I would like to deeply thank the NICFI program and all the partners that have provided this freely available resource, because it's truly adding value to much of the work that we have been doing over the years and that the countries are doing as well. So thank you very much for the opportunity. This is my email and also the email from my colleague, Emil Cherrington, who presented previously about the use of high-resolution data by the SERVIR Global Network. I would also like to thank and acknowledge my colleague, Milagros Becerra from ACA, who presented about the gold mining service in Amazonia in a previous webinar hosted by GFOI and the NICFI program. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Africa. So as you will see, the chat has been working again, so you can put comments in the chat. We've had some fantastic help in the background. We have Pooja Pandey from Planet, who has been answering many questions, along with Charlotte and others. So we have 4 questions remaining and 8 minutes. So what I'm going to do is just quickly go, if we can pick on the question from Antonio Benvenuti. Can someone just pick up on that really quickly?
Yeah, Pooja, are you able to answer this one? This is about the access to the latest available mosaic and the call function for that.
Yeah, so actually the mosaics, the link has a date in it. And so you would be able to access the latest mosaic just by adding a variable as a date, so it updates automatically. So that's possible using our tile layer service, our API tile layer service.
Okay, and Emil had a question about, are there other case studies that the presenters are aware of from Central America or the Caribbean?
I'll comment just from, I guess, the NICFI side, but perhaps Eric or others have some specific comments. But what we're doing as a project team is also collecting user cases. So something that's very important to the program is seeing how the data is being used in different regions. We have a good understanding of how many people are streaming the data in different regions. So and we can do that on a Indonesia versus South America versus Central America kind of basis, and we're doing that on a regular 2-week kind of cycle. I am not aware personally of any specific cases. I don't know if Eric or anyone else on the call knows of any specific users in those regions.
I can just add, Charlotte, that some countries in that part of the world in Central America are using the data for sample-based collection for area estimation of deforestation, and we'll use the data for their reports to the UNFCCC, or as part of the ART trees standard, or as part of the basically just international reporting requirements for the carbon markets. Such as they are. So those data are being integrated now into national level surveys.
Great, thanks, Eric.
May I just add an additional application in Central America that may be outside of the forest world, but we are using high resolution data to monitor algae blooms in Guatemala.
Great, thank you, Africa. Then there's a point made by Ivan Caballero from NICFI, asking, is it possible to access different satellites and be able to use the tools presented here? I saw there was a question earlier about Landsat and Sentinel. Who wants to pick this one up?
Well, I guess at least from a NICFI program side, that the data provided here is specifically the planet scope data and the mosaics that's provided from that. But that data can be streamed into other platforms where you can use the other data that you may already use, Landsat, Sentinel streams, or of course access to other data. And within the project team, we can also help with looking at other sources. So they may not be free data, but there are perhaps other data sets that may be of interest to you, and we can discuss requirements on a case by case as well if you have a specific bespoke solution that you're looking for.
Great, thank you. And if someone could answer the question from Jessica Lopez, that would be great. Gilberto, can you make your intervention quite quick, please? We have about 3 minutes left. Gilberto's going to talk about in situ data. And you need to unmute, Gilberto.
Thanks and congratulations to all presenters for a very good work. As GEO Secretariat, I would like to briefly comment on the fact that we would like and talk to NICFI about sharing in situ data. Planet is a fantastic source of ground data, but that ground data needs to be useful as much as it is shared. And one of the issues that the GEO Secretariat would like to help you and to help those involved is how to share that data so that the assessments that are based on the, say, processing Sentinel using Planet as ground truthing and as quality assessment could be effectively validated. So we would like to touch on this and to mention that it is important, and the GEO Secretariat is providing tools in the Knowledge Hub for you to share your data with others in a manner which is organized and reproducible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gilberto. So the GEO Knowledge Hub is a digital library that is moving open data towards open science. And it's something that is, there's actually a webinar for the GEO Knowledge Hub later this week. So you can join that too. So all that remains, we have a couple of minutes left. I don't know, Charlotte, on behalf of the NICFI program, if you have anything you'd like to say just to wrap up.
Sure, I just thank you so much, everyone, for joining and for the engagement. It's been, it's always really interesting for us. A big part of our role now, the data is coming out regularly. It's on, obviously on a monthly basis. We're delivering these base maps, is actually promoting the program and ensuring we're reaching as many users as possible and showcasing the many and varied applications that there are. And we've had a few of these webinars recently, and we will have more over the coming months as well. And I'm sure later in the year when there's been more time to look at the data. So no, we're really encouraged and interested by what we see, and we hope you enjoy using the data. And I'll just reiterate that if you have any questions or comments, you can contact the project team through the web platform, so planet.com/NICFI, or through our service desk email, which I'll put in the chat, which is nicfi-servicedesk@ksat.no, and we can help answer any questions you have on the program, or help you find the answers that you need. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much. So just the final words, I'd like to thank all speakers, all people working in the background who have made a few shows on screen as well, and all information, the recording for this and also the webinar I mentioned is all available on the GEO website, which is earthobservations.org, one word, earthobservations.org. So I think we've caught most of the questions, and I have to go and interview someone now. So we're going to wrap up because we're bang on time. So thanks again, muchas gracias, obrigado, and lots of other languages. And have a, tusen tack, should say it to Norway. Have a lovely day, evening, and afternoon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.